Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Most of the time I like to spit game, lace people up with mind, body, and soul programming, talk about lifestyle management. Sometimes I just get on here and tell stories. It's Saturday, it's the weekend. It's hot outside, I'm just chilling in the house in some AC. So let's just get into some stories. I'll tell you guys what it's like to own a motorcycle shop. You want to know what it's like to own a custom motorcycle shop? There's always drama. Not so much anymore since I've been in the industry for a long time, and one of the biggest steps that I was able to take probably 10 years ago was to buy a piece of land and to build my own motorcycle shop on it, to own the property as opposed to renting. I rented out in LA, I rented when I first moved to Daytona Beach, and when I first moved to Daytona Beach, I rented a warehouse, a large warehouse, in a industrial area near the train tracks. But it was called Motorcycle Row or something like that. I forget the exact name that people call it, but there was seven motorcycle shops, custom shops all along, all one after another, just all within walking distance. And then a large Honda, Yamaha dealership around the corner. Kawasaki, all the Jap stuff. So it was just a good motorcycle area. There was some bumps and bruises, some rocky road in the beginning. There was a feeling out period with the neighbors. It was a very active area, and I was lucky to find a warehouse in that area. My warehouse looked right out to Carswell, which is an active road. Some warehouses, if you're warehouse shopping for your business, you'll find many warehouses are tucked away in little nooks and crannies. They don't have what appears to be retail storefront location, whereas this did. It had a tiny little showroom and then a large production area, 3,500 square feet production area in the back. I would park custom bikes that we were selling along with any customer's bikes that was being intaken into the shop in the one parking space right out in front of our door that opened. And inside the showroom was mostly parts and accessories. There may have been a bike in there also. And then I was only working with one other parking space. And I have my truck, my partner has his vehicle, one of us would park there, the bikes would be in the other space. There's no parking. There's an alleyway that goes down along the side of the building, and then there's a business next to me who would take up all the parking spots. There's plenty of parking out front, but the body shop next door took up, because he had seniority, the landlord didn't really care, wasn't going to police force it, even though I felt like I should have half of those spaces. There's 10 or 12 spaces. I should have half of those. They were all his. All I had was the two. And this was a nightmare for me and became stressful, and we argued about this with their neighbor, and he's just like, too bad. I've been here for years. He had broken down cars in a couple of spots, and there's no way to just get there early one day and say, well, now this spot's mine. He had just taken over the whole front. So it was a drag. I need parking for my customers. Where are you supposed to, you come by my shop, where are you supposed to park? What are you supposed to do? It's a drag, it's a hassle. It was affecting my business. And this was a source of stress for me every single day. The other source of stress that was happening at that same time was our mail was being stolen. Not all of it. But I noticed that, somehow a bill would come up missing, or just random items would be gone, and I'd have to figure it out. And finally, I talked with the guy who was on the other side of the wall from me. He was down the alleyway. This guy, Gordy, he had a little mechanic shop. Gordy would always have fucking prostitutes coming by. He fucked prostitutes. There's some guys that are hooker fuckers. They love hookers. Gordy was always fucking hookers. That's what he did with his money that he made. He fixed your car, you paid him $500, he goes right to the hookers. Nasty ones. And these fucking hookers would always be coming by his shop. Do you know where Gordy is? It all sound like fucking dirty hags. They look terrible. They'd be lurking around in the fucking alleyway. I was dumb enough, stupid enough to let one of them, we had a little bathroom, let one of them, she's like, can I use your bathroom? I was like, all right, fine. Bad fucking move. Like an hour goes by. She's in there shooting up. I go bang on the door, an hour go by, and I'm just like, hello? And I hear some mumble. I open the fucking thing up, she's passed out. I drag her out, fucking threw her in the alleyway next to Gordy's fucking place. Gordy came by, brought her in his shop, and whatever he did with her. Gordy was such a sleazeball. But he told me one day, hey, I seen this homeless dude stealing mail up and down Carswell. He just walks every morning up Carswell. He goes north every morning, same time, and he looks, anybody who's got a mailbox that points out to Carswell, he'll look in it and he'll take stuff. And he's been doing it with everybody. And he's like, if you notice, I had a body shop on one side of me, and then on the other side of the alleyway was another paint and body shop, Angelo's Paint and Body. And Angelo was Gambino. He's in federal prison right now for running half of the gambling operations in Florida. I hope you're doing all right, Angelo. I know they got cell phones in there. But that was Gambino front. You go into Angelo's office, pictures of John Gotti everywhere. More than one. So he tells me that, you know, that's why Angelo got that big fucking mailbox, and you might want to get one of those too. I'm lazy, I didn't want to get no mailbox, and I'm just like, great, this just adds to my stress. Now, it's confirmed, and I thought my mail was, I was having problems with mail, and now I know, someone's stealing from me. It's just so stressful. To have to show up every day with these a variety of little fires that you have to put out, little battles. This has nothing to do with building bikes. I didn't start a shop so I could fight with this dickhead about parking spaces. I didn't bring my shop to Daytona so I could battle with these fucking Florida bums over my mail. It's just a hassle. So I got lucky. One day, I pull into the shop early in the morning in my truck, and sure enough, there goes Tonto, this bum, and that's, everybody called him Tonto, because I asked for a description. I was like, what does he look like? And they said, oh, you'll know Tonto when you see him, because he paints himself up with magic markers in Indian war paint. So I pull up, and there's this blonde, scraggly, blonde-haired guy with no shirt on, all painted up all over his body with magic markers, red and blue and green and whatever, yellow magic markers, like he's in Indian war paint. Like he's out of a fucking Lone Ranger movie or some shit. And I see him, he's in my mailbox. He's got the thing open and he's looking through it. I was like, this is great. Thank you, Lord. So I jump out of the truck. I grab him by the back of the neck and I smash him up against the wall. And he starts flailing. So I smashed him like 3 or 4 times, really hard. And the guy is just about out. I could tell he wasn't passed out, but he went limp on me. About the 3rd time, his whole body just went limp. And I knew I had him. I was just like, well, this guy is done for. I took him by the back of the hair, and I'm all just in a fucking rage in the moment. So I grab him I just had a good fucking thing of hair. That's all I had, was just a good fistful of his fucking disgusting hair. It felt like a horse's mane. And I dragged him on his knees across the parking lot. This gravel, I mean, it's paved, but it's a nasty parking lot. And I drag him across that fucking thing over to right out in front of Angelo's garage bay opening, not his front, but in the alleyway he's got a bay door where he pulls his vehicles in to paint them, and he's got a huge green dumpster. It's the city dumpster, it's not his, but it's over by his shop, and he would use it mainly. I dragged Tonto, just violently drag him across the parking lot, and he's just limp. He's not fighting at this point. And then I take him, and he wasn't light, and I take him, and with just my fucking adrenaline, and I threw him as hard as I could into the fucking dumpster, over the top, just professional wrestling style, into the dumpster, and you can hear him clanging around in there, fucking moaning and groaning and shit. I shut the door on him, and I'm just raging right then, just, I turn around. Everybody on Carswell is out of their shop watching me. Cicero Masonry from across the street, these guys are professional, they build buildings, they build Walmarts, they're out there like, oh my God. Angelo and all his Gambino boys, you know, they're not all Gambinos, but he's got a little crew of bosses, and then the rest of the just workers. They're just auto body guys. But the bosses, these guys, they're all out there laughing. Angelo had a big smile on his face, and he's just nodding like, good for you. Scott's crew, with the on the other side of the wall from me, these fuckheads who I'm having a parking lot war with, they're all sitting there. There's like 5 of them, and they're all kind of creeping, looking out around the corner, around the alleyway, with wide eyes, scared to death. And I didn't realize that I had put on such a display for everyone. And I calmed down, straightened myself out. Good morning, everyone. You know, I go into my shop, kind of pretend like nothing happened. Go through a regular day of business. The very next day, I show up to work the next morning. Half my spaces, there's like 10 or 12 spaces, something like that out front, big long line of spaces out front of the building, with mostly taken up except for my 2. Oh no. My 6 spaces were clean. It looks like Scott and his whole crew went out there and cleaned them off, scrubbed them, painted the yellow lines darker, you know, for me. They looked fresh. I had my parking spaces. And Tonto was gone. He never fucked with my mailbox again. That motherfucker never walked down Carswell again. He was they might have taken him to the dump. I don't even know what the fuck happened to Tonto. But I killed 2 birds with 1 stone that day. Nobody ever parked in my, Scott and them never parked in my parking spaces again for the next 5 years. If one of his customers parked into one of my spaces, the 6th space, the closest one to his business, oh, Scott would run out terrified and say, oh, no, please don't park there. He'd come into my shop and say, Sky, one of my customers has to park there for 5 minutes, please. And I would just laugh, and I'd be like, you remember, don't you ever forget what happened that morning, motherfucker, because that could be you. You want to know what it's like owning a motorcycle shop? This is what it's like. Thanks for watching.